Exodus 21. These are the judgments which you shall place before them. If you buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve you, in the 7th, he shall depart freely, without charge. With whatever clothing he arrived, with the like let him depart. If he has a wife, his wife also shall depart, at the same time. But if his Lord gave him a wife, and she has borne sons and daughters, the woman and her children shall belong to her Lord. Yet still, he himself will go out with his clothing. And if the servant will say, I love my Lord, and my wife and children, I will not depart freely. Then his Lord shall make an offering for him to the heavens, and it shall be applied to the door and the posts, and he will pierce his ear with an awl. And he shall be his servant in perpetuity. If anyone sells his daughter to be a servant, she shall not depart as a female servant is accustomed to go out. If she displeases the eyes of her Lord, to whom she had been delivered, he shall dismiss her. But he shall have no authority to sell her to a foreign people, even if he despises her. But if he has betrothed her to his son, he shall treat her according to the custom with daughters. And if he takes another for him, he shall provide to the maiden a marriage, and clothing, and he shall not refuse the price of her chastity. If he does not do these 3 things, she shall depart freely, without money. Whoever strikes a man, intending to murder, shall be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait for him, but God delivered him into his hands, then I will appoint for you a place to which he must flee. If someone murders his neighbor with deliberation, by lying in wait, you shall tear him away from my altar, so that he may die. Whoever strikes his father or mother shall die a death. Whoever will have stolen a man and sold him, having been convicted of the crime, shall be put to death. Whoever speaks evil of his father or mother shall die a death. If men will have quarreled, and one of them has struck his neighbor with a stone or a fist, and he does not die, but lies in bed. If he gets up again and can walk outside on his staff, he who struck him will be innocent, but only if he makes sufficient restitution for his deeds and for the cost of the physicians. Whoever strikes his male or female servant with a staff, and if they have died by his hands, he shall be guilty of a crime. But if he survives for 1 day or 2, he shall not be subject to punishment, because it is his money. If men will have quarreled, and one of them has struck a pregnant woman, and as a result she miscarries, but she herself survives, he shall be subject to as much damage as the husband of the woman shall petition from him, or as arbitrators shall judge. But if her death will have followed, he will repay a life for a life. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a foot for a foot. A scrape for a scrape, a wound for a wound, a bruise for a bruise. If anyone will have struck the eye of his male or female servant, having left them with 1 eye, he shall release them freely, because of the eye that he has put out. Likewise, if he knocks out a tooth of his male or female servant, he shall similarly release them freely. If an ox has struck a man or a woman with his horn, and if they die, it shall be stoned. And its flesh shall not be eaten, also, the owner of the ox will be innocent. But if the ox had been pushing with his horn, from yesterday and the day before, and they warned his owner, but he did not confine it, and it will have killed a man or a woman, then the ox shall be stoned, and his owner shall be killed. But if they have imposed a price on him, he shall give, in exchange for his life, whatever is asked. Likewise, if it has struck a son or a daughter with its horns, it shall be subject to a similar verdict. If it attacks a male or female servant, he shall give 30 shekels of silver to their lord, yet truly the ox shall be stoned. If a man digs or opens a cistern, and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, then the owner of the cistern shall repay the price of the beasts, and what is dead will belong to him. If the ox of a stranger wounds the ox of another, and it has died, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the price, but the carcass of the dead one they shall distribute between them. But if he knew that his ox had pushed with its horns, yesterday and the day before, and its owner did not confine it, then he shall repay an ox for an ox, and he will receive the whole carcass. Exodus 22. If anyone will have stolen an ox or a sheep, and if he kills it or sells it, then he will restore 5 oxen for 1 ox, and 4 sheep for 1 sheep. If a thief will have been discovered breaking into a house, or digging under it, and he has received a mortal wound, he who struck him down will not be guilty of blood. But if he did this when the sun was risen, he has perpetrated a homicide, and he shall die. If he does not have the means to make restitution for the theft, he shall be sold. If whatever he stole should be found with him, a living thing, either an ox, or a donkey, or a sheep, he shall repay double. If there is any damage to a field or a vineyard, when he has released his cattle to pasture on the land of a stranger, he shall repay the best of what he has in his own field, or in his own vineyard, according to the estimation of the damage. If a fire will have been discovered departing from brush, and taking hold in stacks of grain, or in crops standing in the fields, whoever ignited the fire shall repay the damages. If anyone will have entrusted money, or a container, to his friend to keep, and if these have been stolen from the one who received them, if the thief is found, he shall repay double. If the thief is unknown, the Lord of the house will be brought before the heavens to swear that he did not lay his hand on the goods of his neighbor, so as to perpetrate any fraud, such as with an ox, or a donkey, or a sheep, or clothing, nor to do anything that would be able to cause damage. The case of both shall be brought before the heavens. And if they give judgment against him, he shall repay double to his neighbor. If anyone will have entrusted a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any animal to the keeping of his neighbor, and it will have died, or become disabled, or have been captured by enemies, and no one saw it, then there shall be an oath between them, that he did not lay his hand on the goods of his neighbor. And the owner shall accept the oath, and he will not be compelled to make restitution. But if it will have been taken away by theft, he shall repay the damages to the owner. If it has been eaten by a wild beast, let him carry what was killed to him, and then he shall not make restitution. If anyone borrows from his neighbor any of these things, and it has died or been disabled when the owner was not present, he shall be compelled to make restitution. But if the owner was present, he shall not make restitution, especially if it had been brought for hired work. If a man has led astray a virgin not yet betrothed, and he has slept with her, he shall pay her dowry and have her as a wife. If the father of the virgin is not willing to give her, he shall pay money according to manner of a dowry, which virgins are accustomed to receive. You shall not permit practitioners of the black arts to live. Whoever has sexual intercourse with an animal shall be put to death. Whoever immolates to gods, other than to the Lord, shall be killed. You shall not harass the newcomer, nor shall you afflict him. For you yourselves were once newcomers in the land of Egypt. You shall not harm a widow or an orphan. If you hurt them, they will cry out to me, and I will hear their cry. And my fury will be enraged, and I will strike you down with the sword. And your wives will become widows, and your sons will become orphans. If you lend money to the poor of my people who live among you, you shall not coerce them like a collector, nor oppress them with usury. If you take a garment from your neighbor as a pledge, you shall return it to him again before the setting of the sun. For it is all that he has to cover himself, to clothe his body, nor does he have anything else in which to sleep. If he cries out to me, I will hear him, because I am compassionate. You shall not disparage the heavens, and you shall not speak evil of the leader of your people. You shall not delay in paying your tithes and your first fruits. You shall give the firstborn of your sons to me. You shall do likewise with those of the oxen and the sheep. For 7 days, let it be with its mother, on the 8th day you shall repay it to me. You shall be holy men for me. The flesh, from which beasts will have tasted, you shall not eat, but you will throw it to the dogs. Exodus 23. You shall not accept a lying voice. Neither shall you join your hand so as to give false testimony on behalf of the impious. You shall not follow the crowd in doing evil. Neither shall you go astray in judgment, by agreeing with the majority opinion, apart from the truth. Likewise, you shall not show pity in judgment of the poor. If you come across an ox or a donkey of your enemy, which has gone astray, lead it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you, fallen under its burden, you shall not pass by without lifting it up with him. You shall not deviate in judgment of the poor. You shall flee from lies. The innocent and the just you shall not kill. For I shun the impious. Neither shall you accept bribes, which blind even the prudent and subvert the words of the just. You shall not harass a sojourner, for you know the life of a newcomer. For you yourselves also were sojourners in the land of Egypt. For 6 years, you shall sow your land and gather its produce. But in the 7th year, you shall release it and cause it to rest, so that the poor of your people may eat. And whatever remains, let the beasts of the field eat it. So shall you do with your vineyard and your olive grove. For 6 days, you shall work. On the 7th day, you shall cease, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and so that the newcomer and the son of your handmaid may be refreshed. Preserve all that I have said to you. And by the names of foreign gods you shall not swear, neither shall these be heard from your mouth. 3 times in each year, you shall celebrate feasts to me. You shall keep the solemnity of unleavened bread. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, just as I instructed you, at the time of the month of new grain, when you departed from Egypt. You shall not appear empty-handed in my sight. For it is the solemnity of the harvest of the first fruits of your work, of whatever you have sown in the field. Likewise, it is a solemnity at the end of the season, when you will have gathered in all your crops from the field. 3 times a year, all your males shall appear before the Lord your God. You shall not immolate the blood of my victim over leaven, nor shall the fat of my solemnity remain until morning. You shall carry the first grain of the land to the house of the Lord your God. You shall not cook a young goat in the milk of its mother. Behold, I will send my angel, who will go before you, and preserve you on your journey, and lead you into the place that I have prepared. Heed him, and hear his voice, and do not hold him in disregard. For he will not release you when you have sinned, and my name is in him. But if you listen to his voice and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will afflict those who afflict you. And my angel will go before you, and he will bring you to the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Canaanite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, whom I will crush. You shall not adore their gods, nor worship them. You shall not do their works, but you shall destroy them and break apart their statues. And you shall serve the Lord your God, so that I may bless your bread and your waters, and so that I may take away sickness from your midst. There will not be fruitless or barren ones in your land. I will fill up the number of your days. I will send my terror to run ahead of you, and I will kill all the people to whom you will enter. And I will turn the backs of all your enemies before you, sending wasps ahead, so that they will put to flight the Hivite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, before you enter. I will not cast them out from your face in 1 year, lest the land be reduced to a wilderness and a wild beasts increase against you. I will expel them little by little from your sight, until you have expanded and may possess the land. Then I will set your limits to be from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Palestinians, and from the desert all the way to the river. I will deliver into your hands the inhabitants of the land, and I will cast them out from your sight. You shall not enter into a pact with them, nor with their gods. They may not live on your land, lest perhaps they may cause you to sin against me, if you serve their gods, which certainly would be a temptation for you. Exodus 24. He also said to Moses, Ascend to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 elders out of Israel, and adore from a distance. And only Moses will ascend to the Lord, and these shall not approach. Neither shall the people ascend with him. Therefore, Moses went and explained to the people all the words of the Lord, as well as the judgments. And all the people responded with one voice, We will do all the words of the Lord, which he has spoken. Then Moses wrote all the words of the Lord. And rising up in the morning, he built an altar at the base of the mountain, with 12 titles according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent youths from the sons of Israel, and they offered holocausts, and they immolated calves as peace offerings to the Lord. And so Moses took 1/2 part of the blood, and he put it into bowls. Then the remaining part he poured over the altar. And taking up the book of the covenant, he read it in the hearing of the people, who said, All that the Lord has spoken, we will do, and we will be obedient. In truth, taking up the blood, he sprinkled it on the people, and he said, This is the blood of the covenant, which the Lord has formed with you concerning all these words. And Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel ascended. And they saw the God of Israel. And under his feet was something like a work of sapphire stone, or like the sky, when it is serene. Neither did he lay his hand upon those of the sons of Israel who were at a distance. And they saw God, and they ate and drank. Then the Lord said to Moses, Ascend to me on the mountain, and be there. And I will give to you tablets of stone, and the law and the commandments that I have written. So may you teach them. Moses rose up, with Joshua his minister. And Moses, ascending on the mountain of God, said to the elders, Wait here, until we return to you. You have Aaron and Hur with you. If any question arises, you shall refer it to them. And when Moses had ascended, a cloud covered the mountain. And the glory of the Lord dwelt upon Sinai, covering it with a cloud for 6 days. And on the 7th day, he called to him from the middle of the mist. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a burning fire over the summit of the mountain in the sight of the sons of Israel. And Moses, entering into the midst of the cloud, ascended the mountain. And he was there for 40 days and 40 nights. Exodus 25. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, so that they may take the first fruits to me. You shall accept these from every man who offers of his own accord. Now these are the things that you must accept, gold, and silver, and brass, hyacinth and purple, and twice-dyed scarlet, and fine linen, the hair of goats, and the skins of rams, dyed red, and skins of violet, and sedum wood, oil to prepare lights, aromatics as ointments and sweet-smelling incense, onyx stones and gems to adorn the ephod as well as the breastplate. And they shall make a sanctuary for me, and I will live in their midst. According to exact likeness of the tabernacle, and all of the vessels for its rituals, that I will reveal to you, so shall you make it. Join together an ark of sedum wood, whose length shall hold 2 1/2 cubits, the width, 1 1/2 cubits, the height, likewise, 1 1/2 cubits. And you shall overlay it with the finest gold, inside and out. And over it, you shall fashion a gold crown all around. And 4 gold rings, which you shall set into the 4 corners of the ark. Let 2 rings be on one side and 2 on the other. Likewise, you shall make bars of sedum wood and cover them with gold. And you shall put them through the rings that are in the sides of the ark, so that it may be carried on them. These must always be in the rings, neither shall they ever be drawn out of them. And you shall place the testimony, which I will give to you, in the ark. You shall also make a propitiatory of the finest gold. Its length shall hold 2 1/2 cubits, and the width, 1 1/2 cubits. Likewise, you shall make 2 cherubim of formed gold, on both sides of the oracle. Let one cherub be on the one side, and the other be on the other. And let them cover both sides of the propitiatory, spreading their wings and covering the oracle, and let them look out toward one another, their faces being turned toward the propitiatory, with which the ark is to be covered, in which you will place the testimony that I will give to you. From there, I will warn you and speak to you, above the propitiatory and from the middle of the 2 cherubim, which will be over the ark of the testimony, about everything that I will command of the sons of Israel through you. You shall also make a table of sedim wood, having 2 cubits of length, and 1 cubit in width, and 1 cubit and 1/2 cubits in height. And you shall overlay it with the purest gold. And you shall make it with a gold lip all around. And for the lip itself an engraved crown, 4 fingers high, and above it another little gold crown. Likewise, you shall prepare 4 gold rings and set them in the 4 corners of the same table, over each foot. Under the crown, there shall be gold rings, so that the bars may be put through them and the table may be carried. Likewise, the bars themselves you shall make of sedim wood, and surround them with gold, to lift up the table. You shall also prepare small cups, as well as bowls, censers, and measuring cups, with which the libations shall be offered, out of the purest gold. And you shall place upon the table the bread of the presence, in my sight always. You shall also make a lampstand, formed from the finest gold, along with its stem and arms, its bowl and little spheres, as well as the lilies proceeding from it. 6 branches shall go out from the sides, 3 out of one side and 3 out of the other. 3 bowls, the size of nuts, shall be on each branch, and a little sphere with it, and a lily. And 3 similar bowls, in the likeness of nuts, shall be on the other branch, and a little sphere with it, and a lily. This shall be the form of the 6 branches, which are to proceed from the stem. Then, in the lampstand itself, there shall be 4 bowls, the size of nuts, and each with little spheres and lilies. Little spheres under 2 branches in 3 places, which together make 6, shall proceed from one of the stems. Thus both the little spheres and the branches shall be made out of the same thing, entirely formed from the purest gold. You shall also make 7 lamps, and you shall place them upon the lampstand, so that they may give light in every direction. Likewise, the candle snuffers, and the place where the candles will be extinguished, shall be made from the purest gold. The entire weight of the candlestick, with all its parts, shall hold 1 talent of the purest gold. Observe, and then make it according to the example that was shown to you on the mountain. Thank you for watching. If you like the content on this channel, please press subscribe, the like button or comment below. We'd love to get your tips. See you next time.